Alright. Hey everyone. This is the first episode in a series that I'm doing where I'm going to teach you how to play some instruments. So sorry if it's a little choppy and I stumble on my words a lot because I'm going to be getting used to this. This is my first video of this nature. So today I'm going to give you my first lesson on trombone. This video is going to assume that you already are able to get sounds on a brass instrument and you already know everything about embouchure and you're just looking to learn some of the positions. You already know how to make sounds on the instrument, but you want to learn what notes are in what positions. Now, you won't necessarily be able to play all of the notes that I'm going to play for you today because I'm going to kind of go decently high and low into the range just to kind of show you what notes are what position. And I'm going to show you where each position is on the trombone. So first, I have music pulled up so that you know what note I am playing. I need to move this chair back a little bit. So I actually started on concert F, which I realized after making this and like right before I hit the start recording button, that's probably, I was just like, okay, let's do F to F, but it would come in handy to know E, because E is like the last note on the usable range on a regular trombone. So E is going to be in 7th position. 7th is going to be basically all the way out. Like for me, it's like my entire arm length plus like extending my fingers out. And if your slide falls off, it means you went too far. But there's only like 2 notes that you ever really use 7th position for, so really just kind of play for a tuner to kind of get a feel for where it is. But E is, let's see if I can play it. That's about where E is there. So that note is not pictured on the sheet music. It would be the line below the staff, so one line below where that F is that I have it starting on. So that's E. And then bringing it up to sixth position, which is going to be slightly higher on the slide. That's where that F is. So that'll be. And you kind of, trombone is a difficult instrument because you have to really use your ear to play it. You're going to be in between positions a lot, but you'll kind of get a feel for where they are as you play it more. F sharp or G flat is going to be in fifth position, which I kind of imagine it as being slightly below the bell. That's how I imagine where that position is, so I can always have a landmark for that one. And that is the F sharp / G flat. And then G is going to be, usually what I do for 4th position is I line the slide up with the bell and then bring it slightly in. Just slightly past that point, and that's going to be where 4th is. And that's the G. And then you bring it in a little bit more, and that is the G sharp, or yeah, no. Yes, I'm losing track of where I was in the music. That's going to be your G sharp / A flat. And then bring it in. So I actually frequently will bring my 2nd in too much, but 2nd will be in slightly more. So that's the A, and then A sharp or B flat will be all the way in 1st position. And I'm going to go back down here from that A sharp or B flat down the slide. You can go with me to see if you're matching up. So it's a lot easier to find them as you're going down because it's just kind of gradually bringing the slide down further on the instrument. So your B flat. And that last note is probably going to be a little iffy, but you don't ever really see that low concert E being used in sheet music very often, unless you're playing bass trombone, which is a different story. And then I'm just going to teach you the positions for the rest of the notes, assuming now you've picked up where each position is. I'm not going to take the time to explain where it is anymore. So then you have the B natural, which is in 7th position, which is really the only 7th position note you're ever going to use. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go over like notes that you can play in each position. That's where the half notes are on the end, on the latter half of this sheet music. I'm going to show you what notes you can play in each position and kind of talk about what's usable and what isn't, and what positions are ideal to play what notes in. So then 6th position C. Did I skip? I skipped C sharp on the music. Okay, I guess I forgot about C sharp / D flat, but that's going to be in 5th position. Then up to 4th for D. Then up to 3rd for D sharp / E flat. Then 2nd for E natural. Then into 1st for F. Then 5th for F sharp / G flat. Then into 4th for G. Then into 3rd for G sharp / A flat. Then into 2nd for A. Then into 1st for A sharp / B flat. Then out to 4th for B natural. Then into 3rd for C. Then into 2nd for C sharp / D flat. Then into 1st for concert D. Then into 3rd for concert D sharp / E flat. Then into 2nd for E. Then into 1st for F. And if you notice, it's pretty easy to memorize the positions of the notes. It's kind of hard in context, but if you think about it chromatically, you just go up. Like if you're going up, you go up 1 position for each note, and if you're going down, you go down 1 position for each note. And it's just as you get higher, you use less and less of the lower positions. So like you notice where when you start on the B natural, you go all the way up to 1st to F, and then next time you start in that pattern, you start on 5th for F sharp, and then you go up to 1st for the B flat. Then you go out to 4th instead of going out to 5th. You go out to 4th for the B natural, and then you bring it up to the D. Then you bring it out to 3rd, and then you bring it up to the F. So now I'll show you what notes you can play in each position, and I'll kind of talk about what would be used and what wouldn't. So for 7th position, you really are only going to need to know that B natural is in 7th position, and even that isn't used very often, because frequently music that's written for trombone won't use that low B even in concert C, especially if you're using you're looking at beginning band music. Most beginning band music is written in flat keys. So if you know the circle of fifths, B is always going to be flat in any flat key. So if you're playing like some beginner band music, it's very unlikely you're going to have to use the B. So 7th position is kind of forgotten about, but you can play E, B, E, G sharp, B, and then E in that position. But none of those are ever going to be used because in context, you don't want to go all the way out to 7th just to hit those notes when you can easily just get at all of those in this small range. Then in 6th position, you have F and C, which are used pretty frequently. Why can I not find the pitch? There. F and C are used pretty frequently. You will want to keep in mind the higher F, the F inside the staff for sixth position. Because sometimes in the context of some faster passages of music, you will want to go out to... It'll make sense to go out to sixth to play that note instead of going in... Like, say you're playing like a fast passage where you're going in this range, it'd be better to go down to F like this rather than bring it in all the way like that. Like, the less distance that you have to travel with the slide, the better, because then, yeah, it just makes it easier on yourself. But then you can play A. Yeah. These notes can also be used to help yourself get into the higher range. Like, say you're having trouble hitting a high G, which I don't have pictured on... Oh, I do have it pictured later in this section. High G will be 3 lines above the staff. If you can hit the F fine, but you're having trouble getting the G, you can start on F in 6th position. I cracked, but... And then you can practice getting up to that note and feeling the sensation that it feels like to get to that note, so then you can hit it in context and just ding it rather than having to scoop up into it. But then moving on into 5th position, the 5th position notes that you will have to use 5th position for are G flat, D flat, then the higher G flat. Then the other ones you can play in this position, but B flat is useful sometimes, but less so than the F in 6th. And then the E is actually unusable. I just put it there because it's technically the next note in the scale, but really what you're going to end up getting is a note that is like halfway between E and E flat. So that's pretty much an unusable note, that E that I have written there. So you have B flat, then D flat, and then technically E, but... And then you can play the higher G flat in that position as well. But those last 2 notes especially, you won't ever be using. And like I said, the E, you will... Like, E is going to be halfway between E and E flat, like I said, in that position, so you don't want to play that there. Then for 4th position, for notes that you will always play in 4th position, you have G, D, G, B natural, and then it's also an alternate position for D, and then this F is going to be flat most of the time, so I once again use this F to kind of get some higher notes to unstick, is what I would call it. If you're having trouble like hitting that note and you can't, but you can hit the F here, you can scoop up into it, and it makes it easier to feel what that sensation is like, rather than just trying to force yourself to hit the G. But then, moving on into 3rd position, we have A flat, E flat, A flat, C, E flat, and G flat. And then you can keep going up into A flat. And you notice as you get into the higher register of the instrument, the partials, but like the space between the notes that you can hit on the partial gets smaller. That's why as you get higher in the range of the instrument, you're going to be pretty much only using the first 3 positions. And really, not even pretty much, you are only using the first 3 positions in the higher register of the trombone. Then moving on to, well, I didn't say, but all of those notes you're going to be playing in this position. Like, there's no other situation where you would ever want to play any of those notes anywhere else besides maybe G flat, but I don't really see a use for playing that in fifth instead. But then in second, and that's the case with, I keep interrupting myself. That's the case with all of these next few, like from position 3 and up, you're going to need to use all of these notes in this position. You can't really use, like, none of the other positions are really usable, aside from some alternates that I'll mention. But then in second position, we have A, E, A, C sharp, E, G. And then you can go up to A. But I'm not going to today because I haven't practiced for a while and I'll probably not be able to hit it, and that would be embarrassing. But like I said, for all those notes, you're going to play those in that second position. The only other situation where you could play another one of those notes in another position would be maybe playing the A in sixth, possibly, depending on the context of it, and playing the G in fourth. But neither of those I really see much of a use for. It's just something to keep in mind. It's kind of like you have to feel it out and see if that feels better than going into second position in the context of the music. But then we have first position, which you start on B flat, F, B flat, D, F, A flat, and then you can go up to a higher B flat. This is a situation where I would say, more often than not, I will play the A flat in third position, because you can't, it's hard to tune a note that's in first. And that's kind of the situation with any of these. All of these, besides low B flat, have alternate positions. And if you're having trouble tuning one of them, the higher B flat is the tuning note, so technically that one should always be in tune. But if you're having trouble tuning the F or the D, then you can go out to sixth for the F or fourth for the D. But I would never use any alternate positions for that high F, and there is no alternate positions for the low B flat. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the slide positions. I hope this was helpful. I know I kind of breezed through it, but there's a lot to talk about in this first episode of this, so if you have any questions, make sure to let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer all of them, really. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to help you out. But the next lesson that I'm going to do is going to be a couple of scales. I think I'm going to do a couple of the flat. That's what the next few lessons are going to be, is just going to be like 2 scales in one video, and we're going to just kind of progress through the circle of fifths. But if you have any questions even unrelated to this video about playing trombone, let me know in the comments, and I'll either make a video about it if I feel like it's necessary, or I'll answer you directly. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Peace out. I hope this was helpful for you.